Hi, everyone. Welcome to Transdimensional Realities here on the Paranormal UK radio network, where we talk about all things strange and unusual that happen in our everyday lives and lie outside our perspective of reality. I'm your host, Melissa Lee, and I know we were off the last couple of weeks, so I have brand new guests today, and we have guests lined up through February going into March, so we're going to be right back on schedule. And I want to introduce our guest today. His name is Tim Malone. Now, Tim has written a book about his personal experiences called Behind the Veil: One Man's Journey from Opioid Addiction to Spirituality and Beyond. This is going to be an exciting conversation. So let's welcome Tim to the program. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing well, Melissa. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, thank you for coming on. I am fascinated about your story and your new book, which I introduced. So I would just say if you want to start telling us what happened to you and what started you on this journey and your experiences.
Sure, I'd be happy to. The book is Behind the Veil, and it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere you can get books. I was a businessman, still am. I own a company, a staffing company in Kentucky. My brother and I are partners. It was our father's. So up until my late 50s, I didn't go to church. I didn't do anything spiritual at all. I had no connection to meditation or retreats or anything. And then um, when I got divorced in 2000, uh, everybody was worried about me getting into some type of addiction, and I said, "Oh, I'll never will. I'm okay." Well, it was the classic. I wasn't okay because I started taking hydrocodone that a so-called friend gave me. That with the beer, I loved it. I mean, I thought hydrocodone was the greatest drug of all time. And so within the next year or two, I became very addicted.
Can I ask if everyone was concerned about you, do you think it was you had an addictive personality?
Oh yeah, I think as I look at this incarnation and I look at all the things that I did, some of which aren't in the book that are very unflattering too, I had a very addictive personality, Melissa.
Wow. So what happened then?
Well, I started taking a lot of pills, and at the peak, I would get up in the morning and drink a Mike's Hard Lemonade and take two hydrocodone and go to work. And by the end of the day, when I went to bed, I'd taken 14 and taken two Ambien to try to sleep, which Ambien and hydrocodone should have killed me. And I think I almost died once, as I remember. Um, but so I was in a really, really bad spot. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, my wife and I, new wife, had an agreement that we wouldn't buy a dog. But one day I showed up after on a Sunday after being on a camping trip, and there was a dog. And I told my wife, I told you not to buy a dog. And she goes, well, I did anyway. And I said, okay, then I get to name the dog. And I'm going to call the dog Boo Boo because you weren't supposed to buy the dog. And so
Okay.
that's how the name Boo Boo, and that's the dog on the cover of the book too. So as you'll read in the book, the dog becomes a very important part of my recovery. I really connected with the dog. I started walking the dog not once a day, but twice, three times on the weekends. My health started getting better. And then along on these walks, I started getting nudges of just strange things happening. Um, and finding different things along these paths that now I realize were nudges to push me into a more spiritual path. And they
What
had a lot
um
to do.
what pushed you to finally take the steps towards recovery?
Well, I had relapsed three times
Hmm.
and my life was crap. And I think I think I hit rock bottom, and I thought, like I said, I had one night that I think I had a dream, a vision that I was dying. And I
Mm.
probably was because that's when people die when they take drugs. A lot of
Mhm.
times is when you do the hydrocodone with an Ambien type pill. So I found a really good addiction doctor, and along with the exercise with the dog, addiction doctor, and 3 years of therapy, I kicked the habit. And so at that point in my life, still love my dog, kicked the habit, really feeling good. But then my daughters came to me and said, Dad, I think you need to go see this other counselor, which ended up being a lady named Rhonda Etherton. And she was a mystic, and she had a group of 3 or 4 people that met, and they did mystical things.
Mm.
So I said, all right, I'll meet with them. And I'll never forget being with her in one session when we would talk about our lives and our days. Then we'd, go into meditation. Then we got out of it, we'd all say, here's what I saw. I'll never forget the day that we got out of the meditation. Rhonda got up, she walked over and grabbed a book from her bookshelf and she gave it to me. She goes, they told me to give you this book, and it was Ramtha. I don't know if you've ever read Ramtha the White
No,
book,
I have not.
but it was life changing when I read it. It was the story of this mystical being, a higher energy. I don't know if he was an angel or an archangel, but reincarnated. And it's this whole story of the afterlife and what happens to you.
Mm.
And I became fascinated, Melissa. I kept going to Rhonda. I had another lady that was doing massages for me that was also a mystic. And I started hearing twinkling bells when we were together during the massages, like twinkling bells coming out of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd say, um, I'd be like, did you hear that? And she'd say, yeah, I heard it. Did you? And I said, yeah. And she also had premonitions about the future. She could see things. And a couple times she warned me about car wrecks and things that I should avoid um, in situations. So I had two different mystical groups going. I was devouring books at a high rate of any mystical topics. I mean, in my book, I list all these books, beginner, intermediate, and I list all these different books I recommend. But I was getting into Dinah Cooper. I was reading about orbs. I was reading about archangels. I was reading about Ask Your Guides by Sylvia Croquette, which is a great book. Um, and I started looking for places to meditate. I just had this feeling, and as I look back on it, the holy ones, were trying to push me somewhere. First of all, they had to save me for a reason. There was a reason they saved me, as I find out now. Then they had to get me up to speed. So I'm in my early 60s. They had to get me up to speed very quickly on the mystical world and religions and how they interact and Buddhism and all the different major religions, and just a crash course in understanding the whole world of mysticism and where mystics fit into life and where the angels and the universe fit in and what it is. And I started forming opinions from all this reading. So that takes me to the point where my dog died. It was in
Mm.
July of 2020. COVID year, as you remember,
Mhm.
what an awful year. And then my dog dies. I mean, I really believe the dog was sent by the holy ones to save me, and he did. And when he died, I knew a little bit about orbs. I'd read Diana Cooper and Kathy Crosswell's book, Ascension Through Orbs. And so when she died, I was crying and I asked the universe, I said, would you please let my dog stay here? And that night, I took my iPhone and I started taking pictures in my yard at night. First of all, I took a picture of my dead dog on its blanket, and there's an orb. that I saw. The next day I came to work like I am now and downloaded all my pictures that I took that night.
Mhm.
And there was an orb with my dog that had passed, a green orb. Still have the picture. That's in the book. Um, then I look at the other pictures and I couldn't believe it. There are orbs in my yard, and my dog's face is in the orbs. Or my
Really?
dog's, yes, or my dog's face is riding them. You see a bright orb, and you see my dog's face on top of it. My dog's face in the middle, and that gave me such comfort that couple things. One, that my dog soul was still here in spirit form, and that when you die, it's not all over. Um, I didn't really know what happened when you died. I was very fearful of it.
Mhm.
Uh, and it made me realize there is something greater out there, greater than us, Milyssa. And so I became a fanatic about taking pictures of orbs. Every night I'd go out after dinner and I'd take pictures and video, and they started developing brighter colors. And one night I accidentally, this is about a year later, 2021, 22, I was taking these videos of orbs in the back flashing, and I focused on a light of a house because I thought that was an orb. And what I saw in the light on the house were people in the light. And so now I find out what that was is the holy ones are using the light from a house to amplify their power to show me things.
Hmm.
And so I started getting really scared because
Well, you're seeing all these strange things.
I know I was
Now,
like,
now,
yeah,
I wanted to comment because there's a lot of controversy about orbs. A lot of researchers dismiss them as dust. And I don't know if you know, I'm a longtime researcher over 20 years. And yeah, while a lot of orbs are dust, a lot are not. Depends on the how far away they seem to be from the camera lens and the light. And if they're doing very strange things like showing you your dog's face, yes, that is definitely not dust.
Melissa, I couldn't agree with you more. I consider orbs spirit emanations. And the example I like to give people is an orb is a spirit emanation. And my example is if you're flying on a plane at night and you have a window seat and it's dark and you look down on, the ground wherever you're flying and you see a road and you see two lights, you intuitively know those two lights are a car or a bus. You also know there's somebody driving it. And that's exactly what an orb is. An orb is a spirit emanation. It is being driven by a spirit entity, whether it's angels, archangels, and they're holding souls that are passing. They're holding souls that have been in car wrecks. Whatever it is, I like to consider orbs the transportation of the spirit world.
Well, I've taken photos myself in the past that have absolute clear faces in them
Yeah.
that are not pareidolia or what people call matrixing. Very clear. And if you think about it with orbs, what is an orb? It's a form of energy. And
Right.
most energy, like a lot of things in the universe, are round, a round ball of light, which, in my opinion, I think is really what we are, just inhabiting these meat suits. But the spiritual energy usually does come in the form of orbs.
Yes, it does. And as I got deeper and deeper into it, um, I'd spent a couple months backing off when I saw people in the orbs because I was scared. I was
Mhm.
like, have I opened the door to something that I shouldn't? But then I just started taking more video. And then over the next year to two, you got to remember, I'm taking thousands of snips from videos and videos. Every night, my wife's like, "You're going out again? It's 10 degrees." Yeah, I'm going out. I was just fascinated about why are they showing me things? What are they showing me? And what I did, and at this point, I would say I was becoming a very good mystic, and I had my grounding down and I could meditate. I was still devouring books, but I wanted to find out what this is all about. Why are they showing me things? So I started asking them at my 3 o'clock meditation every day that I do, can I see Master Babbage or will you show me Archangel Michael? And at night, they would show me these people, these entities in the orbs. And I was like, this, but why are they showing me? And there was a lady with black hair in every single one of these.
Were
And
you able to see faces?
yes, yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah.
Because a lot of
Actually,
people report not being able to see faces, but they could see the figures.
well, that's a great comment. So when I show people, for instance, behind me, those are pictures of two orbs. You may not be able to see them really well, but the lady with dark hair is up. Um, she's like right here,
Okay. Okay.
and she's holding me, my energy,
Oh.
because in the picture above that, I'm in the orb. My face is there.
Hmm.
So we're sharing consciousness. They're showing me the things I asked to see. And then this lady with the dark hair kept showing up, and I kept wondering, why are they showing me these things? What's the purpose of all this? And I'm sorry, what was your question again? We were talking about
I was talking about faces, being able
faces.
to see figures, but sometimes faces are unclear.
Well, that's the big thing. So when we talk about orbs that are real, there's lens flare, there's dust. Even though when people are just getting into orbs and they show me a picture and I'm like, look at that beautiful orb below the sun. I'm like, okay, I know it's lens flare, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to ruin their excitement for a spiritually transformative event, STE, I call them.
Okay.
But the faces, so here's my example. If I show, I'm at a gym and I work out 3 times a week, and there's ladies there, and I said, let me bring you pictures of some of my orbs. So I bring them a picture. I clearly see the face, like in this one, of the lady with the black hair holding her head's tilted, holding somebody. It's as clear as day. I can show that same picture to 3 different people. One of them's going to say, I see exactly what you're saying. One of them's going to say, show me. Oh, okay, I kind of see it now. And one of them's going to be, I don't see anything. I just see blobs of color. And so, what the truth is it depends on a person's spiritual advancement as to
Hmm.
what they can see and what they can't see.
Everyone's different.
Yep.
Uh, Again, a skeptic would just scratch that up to pareidolia. Now, the mind will see what it wants to see, especially if you give them a suggestion. But I agree with you. I think some people are meant to see some things, other people just aren't there yet.
Well, and as you go down the path, like I know you have with your 20 years of research and being a mystic, if that's your primary thing, you're revealed more things as you go down the path and as you develop. And that's exactly what was happening with me. They started showing me more intricate things. They started showing me pictures of aliens that would show up. And I considered these orbs like a stage. So here's a stage that they've created, and the Holy Ones are trying to show me something. They're not just sending me random pictures. There's a message, a lesson they want to teach me or ask me to do something. So the stage, their job is to um, create images that'll help me understand what I'm seeing. And they did that early on. very brilliantly when I started seeing different types of angels in different settings.
That's fascinating. Um, my background isn't so much in mysticism as spirituality, paranormal spirituality, and looking at, and this is why I love having you on the show because we're talking about things that everyone has their own view of reality. Major, most of society has this straight view of reality that we've been taught. And there are those things that happen that are beyond our perspective of reality. And this is definitely one of those that this type of manifestation is happening all around us and is a part of us.
You're exactly right, Melissa. And there's this new golden age that we're entering. We've started a new 9 year period. We've come from Pisces. We've come gone. We're going into, and it's February, the Aquarian age of 9 years. And what this new golden age means for us on the spiritual mystic side is they're clearing. So the earth is third dimension. Fourth dimension is where you start connecting to your higher self. Fifth dimension is collaborating with different angels. And sixth is actually co-creating the sixth and seventh. And what they're doing for the earth now uh, is they're clearing the third energy that's heavy and trying to make it easier for people uh, to connect to something greater. So that's why you're seeing more people take pictures of orbs. You're seeing more phenomenon. It's because they're opening the door to help humans gain access to these beautiful things that you and I know and feel or see.
Mhm. Here's an interesting question for you. And again, this show is not political in any way. I don't want to talk about politics, but there's a lot of strife going on in the world right now, especially in this country. And I have heard this talk about us moving forward, advancing out of the third dimension to the fifth dimension or beyond. And yet it seems like there's so many people are so divided. It, I wonder how we're ever going to get there because it doesn't seem to be relaxing anytime soon.
Well, the holy ones have told me because part of my incarnation is to help usher in this new golden age from the ground. But they've told me that we'll have a couple more years of strife, 2 to 3 years, and then gradually you'll start seeing a kinder, gentler world start developing. And ultimately, that's where we'll end up. They're working behind the scenes to make that happen. You know, love is the currency on the other side. And if in the way I prove what I'm saying is that if what I'm saying is true and what you know is true about the holy ones or the universe, how brilliant are they to be able to run it all and control it all and taking souls that move from the earth and sending them on these spiritual paths to different mansion worlds. If they can do that, they can take this free will planet of ours and they can start making changes that will enhance the lives of people here and make it a kinder, gentler place, is what I believe.
With that being said, where does free will fall into it?
Free will, as you know, Melissa, is a tough one. So there are planets in the universe that are not free will, and they're spiritually crafted, they're spiritually pure. But souls on our journey and our karma like to reincarnate on planets where we can experience a lot of things. And so most of my incarnations have been on Earth. And because it's a free will planet, so good things can happen, bad things can happen to good people. Um, you have the free will to do a lot of things that can affect your karma, but souls pick to come back to this planet because you can experience sorrow and joy and a broken heart or the death of a family member. And free will does horrible things to people too, with wars and the killings. And look what, people have done with assassinations and those things. But I think when we talk about free will, it's hard for us to understand each person's soul's path. And so, of course, there is retribution for those that really do bad things. But um, all they want from us is for you to be on a spiritual path. And all that means is just loving yourself, loving other people, being a good person. It doesn't mean you have to belong to a religion. It doesn't mean you have to follow anything other than just being a good soul, being a good person to people. That's what they want on this free will planet. But so sometimes, like my brother's daughter committed suicide 8 years ago, 13,
That's terrible.
and it was horrible bullying in school. Um, but it's hard to understand sometimes the soul's reason it's here in the soul's path, um, which all comes clear as soon as you pass and it all is revealed.
Well, there's here's where we can try to make a good argument for people who are totally atheist that they look at, and again, they're coming from talking about Christianity or organized religion, but they say, what kind of God would make like a child suffer from cancer and die? What would cause somebody to be horribly abused? Why would God allow things that are happening in the world today? And they choose that as, well, your God really isn't loving, and that's why I won't believe in him. I don't believe he exists. And yet, as what you're saying, and I'd like you to expand on that, is that we are here for specific reasons and experiences, and some of those experiences to us in this incarnation might seem horrible, and yet it's a learning experience for us. Now, people say, why would I want to learn that? Well, right now it sucks, but you, but when you pass and go on the other side, it's like, okay, wow, that's what I learned out of this.
Yes, that's exactly right. And, you know, let's call it what it is. It is horrible when things happen and, um, somebody's handicapped and, um, there are things we humans, yeah, there are some awful things that happen here, and not all of them are just due because of your soul's journey. Some of them are committed by people that have totally gone out of their karma, and they've decided the dark energy has captured them somewhat, and they've decided to kill 20 people. That's never going to be part of a soul's journey, learning how to murder or kill people.
Mhm.
But there are consequences for what you do on Earth in this free will setting.
Well, what kind of consequences are you referring to? Karma?
Well, karma's part of it, but when people think of sinning and doing bad things, religions have taught us about that there's a hell and there's a place you go, and it's hot and it smells and whatever. The the images that I see and where they take me now with my visions are places where you create your own hell for what you've done. Um, and it might be, let's take a guy who's an alcoholic and he ruined his family's life. He took all the money and he spent it all on drinking, and he's just at the bar every day, and he's really not led a very productive spiritual path at all. He may end up when he passes in a bar with people there all drinking, everybody having the same experiences as him. And it just has to be awful because it's eternal. Now, there are seraph and angels that can rescue you at the right time and take you and pull you into a spiritual role and a spiritual path. But depending on what you've done, there are situations in these other dimensions they put you that are more specific to what you did or what, there's a desert in Australia in a dimension where when you look at it, there's thousands of people biting and kicking each other and they're scratching each other. Think how awful that would be to be a spirit entity there in this purgatory type place. But above it all are seraph and angels who are waiting for some of these guys to raise their hand and say, look, I really screwed up. I want to pursue a spiritual path. Please help me. Please save me. So there are ways that um, that you are dealt with when you're really doing awful things to other people on this planet.
Hmm. Okay. Um, what is the one of the most intense experiences or most enlightening experiences that you've ever had?
Oh, wow. Melissa, that's a great question. I think one of them was so I was used to, um, well, I found a hidden statue right behind a church, and it was the Blessed Mother right there in the open where they cut the grass and rake the leaves. There appeared the statue that I found and uncovered that nobody remembers it. Nobody knows why it was there, but it's a statue of the Blessed Mother. So I asked in my meditation, a month later, can I see the Blessed Mother in an orb tonight? And normally I would go do my video at night. Next day, I'd pull the video up and look in the orbs and I'd see whatever they're showing me she is. Instead, I went from 3 o'clock in my meditation to our Kroger grocery, and I'm in the grocery in the back by the cottage cheese and all this stuff, and kind of by the kids' formula. And a lady walks up, and she's beautiful. She has dark skin, black hair, and she's dressed. It looks just like if you've seen the apparition at Fatima and the pictures they show of the
Hmm.
Blessed Mother. It looks just like her. And she has a little boy with her who has dark skin and black hair, and both of them do not have shoes. She has a cart with nothing in it. And she asked if I could um, give her some money to help buy formula. And I said, well, here's $20. And she said, no, I need $149. And I said, okay. So I pulled out all my money and I had 150. And I gave it to her. And she folded her hands and looked at me and said, bless you, my son. And I ran to my car because I'm like, I'm going to get a check and write her another check. I didn't think about a money machine or anything. And when I came back in, she was gone. And I have a friend who stocks shelves who was there. He never saw her. Nobody remembers seeing her. But to me, it was an apparition of the Blessed Mother. And I just started crying because instead of showing her in an orb, they showed her in a human form that I would maybe understand the care and love that she brings and people need to help with other people and formula and things. So that was one of the big ones for me is seeing the see an apparition of the Blessed Mother.
Hmm. That's very interesting. Now, you didn't get your 150 back, did you?
No, I didn't, but I was happy to make that donation to her. Which
Sure,
I
sure.
found out later, she ends up being the lady in all these pictures. It's her.
Really.
Yeah.
So it's the Blessed Mother that's showing up in all your.
Well, she's the divine feminine. The Blessed Mother is the Catholic name. Uh,
Okay.
so different religions call her different things, and she's reincarnated a bunch as Isis and all these other names. So um, different names for different religions.
Right, right. No, I totally understand that. Fantastic. Now, with some of these other, I'm trying to remember what you said. You've had these, was it visions or
Yep.
waking visions of these people coming to you, whether
Yes.
it's at night or whatever. Um, can you talk a little bit more about what those interactions were like or what was conveyed to you?
Okay, I'd love to. So we went from nudges to me seeing all these things, and now I know I've got this lady with black hair and all these other spirit entities in these orbs, but I still don't understand why me and what they're trying to get me to do. So I thought I do a lot of work with past life regression. I lived and died in Egypt at the Philae Temple. And I told the guy that helps me, Dominique, who's another story, I said, let's go to Egypt. I want to go to the Philae Temple. Maybe that'll be the clue that I need to find out why they're showing me all this. Because I'm clairvoyant, but some clairvoyants are better than me. I mean, I hear them and I can see things, but sometimes our humanness gets in the way of understanding what's truth and what's just your mind.
Our
That's what
egos get in the
this
way.
is. Exactly. And so we were going to go to Egypt and we called the company with the barge that takes us down through all the temples of light. And all of a sudden, all that stuff happens in the Middle East. And we're like, I don't know if that's a smart move. Now, at this point, I just finished my book that is the book Behind the Veil. And the publisher that took it immediately was out of England. So Jessica, who wrote the book with my, I would give her voice recordings and she would write the words into into the book, and then I would approve the thoughts and everything. But so we're going to Egypt. We're like, no, we're not going to go there. It's too dangerous. And then what? And Jessica's like, why don't we go see the publisher in England? And so she gets hold of the publisher, and they're like, we'd love to see you. And then we got a great recommendation from a lady who's written several books, Kathy Crosswell, who lives in England. And Jessica reached out to Kathy, and Kathy said, come on over. I'd love to do readings with you all. And so we go to England, meet the publisher, then we go out into um, to meet Kathy. And this is one of those events, Melissa, that you asked me about these transformative things. She comes in, she sits down, and I show her my orbs. Now, Kathy, since she was a little girl, has been communicating to them just like we're talking.
Hmm.
She calls them the upstairs, I call them the holy ones. So we're sitting there, I show her my orb pictures, and she does, okay, I'm going to do a reading. I'm going to ask them about you. And she's like, oh my, oh, what? I've never had that happen. She said she's done 2,000 readings and she's never seen uh, a soul mind that is halfway between heaven and earth. And she goes, I don't really know what to make of it. but I've never seen that. The soul's either in up in the universe or it's on Earth. So then I showed her the pictures of this lady with dark hair that I was calling Carol. She's like, that's not Carol, that's the Lady of the Light. I'm like, what? The Lady of the Light. I said, who's that? She goes, that's the divine feminine. That sits right under God. And she is what the Catholics call Mary and other religions call whatever. And so I started working with her and I found out, then the Holy One started working with me. I found out my job in this incarnation is to help bring in this new golden age.
Mhm.
And part of that job is this book and another book coming out that Kathy and I are doing called Calling All Humans, which is going to be a guidebook for humans that want to connect and do their spiritual journey as things start becoming easier for that to happen with the third to fourth dimension. And the other thing that I'm doing that they want me to do is like I'm the ground game to help them. I'm building a portal. I bought 70 acres on a lake nearby, and I'm building a portal between heaven and earth that's 100 feet tall to help souls move. So part of my job is building energy and portals all across the world so that souls that are lost, souls that maybe were in a car wreck and don't know they died, earthbound souls so that they can find the light and go to the light. And also part of that is the animal souls. So working really hard with portals and making sure that animal souls pass onto the spiritual path. If a soul doesn't take a spiritual path, there's really nowhere for it other than a limbo um, on the earth, kind of like a purgatory. So, New Golden Age, portals, energy, another book. Maybe somebody will do a documentary, but I'm trying to connect to millions of people to let them understand how much they're loved and how much how important it is to um, because people are scared. You brought it up earlier, Milyssa. People are scared, and this is a scary time on the earth. So if we can give people some comfort, if we can help them realize there is something when you die, and that they love us very, very much, as corny as it sounds, they love us more than I can even describe to you.
I believe that. I do believe that. Um, you mentioned when you're working with past life regression, and you mentioned like I think it was the person who was doing the past life regression. There was a whole story involved there. Are you able to talk about that?
Um, no, I don't remember that saying that. I think
There
uh,
was somebody you mentioned that I might have gotten it confused that you said was a whole nother story.
oh, that was Dominique.
Okay, Dominique.
So part of all this stuff I'm doing on the earth now that they led me to, and I love doing is I teach mindfulness and meditation, and I teach it to the Urban League in Louisville, which are people, they have a program for people that have gotten out of prison, restarting their lives. So I teach that, and one of the people I met was an African American gentleman named Dominique, who had really struggled in his life. He had done some bad things, and he was trying to right his ship. I took him under my wing and have now developed. I started a business for him that he's doing well. He does all this work for me. He'll work at my wellness retreat. Not only the portal, but it's going to be a wellness retreat where people can come visit and connect through programs. But Dominique is this special story about a guy who was down on his luck, and I've helped him get on his feet. He's and then found out we actually have a past life together in Egypt too. And I have a picture of him from that time and a picture of me. because that's the other thing. I mentioned it earlier, but and people may not believe me, but I I'm in a lot of these orbs. Like my face is in these orbs. And when I asked to see Dominique from a past life, they showed me Dominique. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, Dominique's a special story.
Um, Shoot, there was something else. Okay, I was going to ask you reincarnation. Okay, which I've always leaned towards. Um, I believe happens to all of us. Now, when
I
you
do.
talk about these souls who wind up in these purgatories, you know, are they also given that opportunity to reincarnate? Maybe fix some of the things that they've done in one life in another, somehow redeem themselves?
Yes, Melissa, they are, but there's not the door opener for them until they've claimed a spiritual path. And once again, a spiritual path could be just being a wholesome, good person and loving and just um, being a good human soul. That's how you progress into your next reincarnation. Um, and when you die, you meet your family, then you meet with your spirit family, you review your life, and you decide to reincarnate again, or you're going through teachings and learnings on different mansion worlds. But you can't do any of that unless you've claimed a spiritual path.
Okay. Okay. Um, well, we're coming close to the end here, Tim. So your book, Beyond the Veil, could you just mention again where everybody can find that?
Sure. Behind the Veil, Tim Malone, Jessica Franzini, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And I think one of the cool things, well, one of the disappointing things about the book was the publisher. I've got all these cool pictures, but they're in black and white. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to show really well. But we have a website called timmalonebehindtheveil.com
Okay.
where we take those pictures and put them in color. And underneath the picture, say, here's the page it's on, and here's what you're seeing. So you can go to the website as you're in the book and you see a picture and you can compare because like you and I discussed, some people are going to see everything that I see. Some will see some will see nothing. But um, yeah, I
Okay.
would really appreciate people buying my book.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thank you again very much for coming on the program. And your book just came out last month, I believe. So hope it does well. And we'll have to have you back on sometime when the
I
next book comes out.
appreciate you. You can reach out to me anytime you'd like. If you have any questions or anything I can help you with, Melissa.
Okay, great. Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right.
Bye. So that was Tim Malone and his book, Beyond the Veil. And I want to thank Tim again for coming on the show. We actually had a post-interview discussion that I really wish I would have recorded because we went into a couple more things about reincarnation and even, ghosts, and which falls into the category of those people who are still earthbound, as he put it, or in those places. So it was a really good discussion, and I will let you read his book. Like I said, it just came out last month. Now, next week, I'll be back, definitely. My next guest, her name is Patty Lehman. She's a psychic medium and a dear friend of mine. So I'm going to look forward to that discussion too. So that'll be next week on I can't talk today. Transdimensional realities here on the Paranormal UK radio network. So as usual, be good humans, and I will talk to you later.